Alright, so let's make this simple to do into full-fledged, more advanced with more features. We'll add these. First thing we need to add is we need to mark this as done, and we have to delete it, edit it, all sort of things. So with our current structure we cannot achieve that because we have array with a single item. So we have to use something like this kind of object inside to-dos array. So to do that, we will use this kind of object with id, auto incrementing id, with name of, we can call it title or name of the task, and status of the task, whether it is done or not. So let's do that. Let's remove all of these, and for dummy data we'll add these two. And we have to now change it here as well, because we are looping through to-dos, which is now, this is now object. So in order to display name, so as you can see in right, we are just displaying object. So we want to display this name option, sorry, name property. Then we have to do name, save it, there we go. So now we can see name. All right, so we can show status as well, or this done or not, whether they are done or not. Now we can filter according to this data as well. We have a lot more options now, a lot more control. Okay, so now let's add a button for making it done. Okay, so we'll not focus too much on CSS. We'll just add simple button for now and say mark as done. There we go. Now we can see mark as done button over here. And now we need to listen for user events. We already know that. We'll do click and mark done. And now we'll create that method over here, mark done. So in order to mark done, we'll need one parameter, which will be the to-do item. This will be passing from over here, mark done, and then we'll pass the current to-do item inside this loop. All right, so after passing that, we can mark that done, and now we have to write logic. Logic is pretty simple. We have to make this done from false to true. All right, so the way we do it is using to do dot done equals to true. So now it is done. So false means not done and true means done. So you can use other key as well, completed. I'll use done. So once we do we modify this object is passed from here, which is coming from to-dos, this array. So whenever we update or mutate this object inside the array, this will this object will automatically update it, and we can see mark as done. So now let's see this in action. So now there is no way to visually show the user that it is marked as done or not, but I'll show you a cool dev tool that comes with that is quite handy when you are working with Vue, which is ViewDevTool. So just search for ViewDevTools and install. It is a Chrome extension. So how that will help us is if you go to inspect, let me show it here. So whenever you are inside Vue application, it will show the Vue tab. Here you can see the components. All right. So here, if we go to the component, then we can see our to-do items over here. Let me make it a bit bigger if I can. There we go. So we can see all the data property of our component over here. So here also we can see the to-do. So now they are false, false. Let's make this go to shop done. When we click on this, when we click on mark as done. All right, so it is not changing. Let's see what's, yeah. So whenever you do refresh, you have to do refresh to see change. So this is done equals to true. So let's make this also true. So right now it is false. Let's make it true. Let's refresh it. There we go. So it is making true. It is true. All right. So let's say we so first we handle one thing at a time. So what I want to handle is whenever we do mark as done, we have to cross this up, and also we give availability to user that mark it as undone or not done, so they can toggle this from true to false. So let's do that. So let's go to the code. And first thing, whenever this is true, let's show here status equals to true. I'll do the span here. So I will use simple ternary operator like to do dot done. If this is true, then we'll display done. Otherwise, not done. Let's see if this works. There we go. Okay, let's make it done, done. There we go. So with some CSS we can make it look nicer, but for now it's all right. All right, so just to make it a bit more clear, just wrap this inside small bracket so that it look, yeah, not done. Okay, so now next we'll give ability to make this not done by undone or not completed by toggling this button. So how do we do that? We have this method mark done. Let's go to that method. So instead of just making this true, we will reverse it. So if it is already true, we'll make it false, and vice versa. If it is already false, we'll make this true. So how do we do that? We do that by to do dot done. So if it is already true, then we'll make this false. So we'll use this exclamation mark to make that done, to toggle between done and not done. So let's see this in action. Mark as done, mark as undone. There you go. Done, not done. Status done, not done. So now we can easily toggle that. You can also rename this mark done as, or so better name will be toggle done. Yeah, it's all your preference. Toggle done. Just make sure both name are same. Okay, so next thing is we can also change the button text as well, because whenever we done, it shouldn't say mark as done, it should say mark undone. All right, so you can easily do that from here. There is a button text. You can use same ternary operator like this. Just copy this, Control C, Control V into this. So if it is done, then we can say mark done, mark undone. Pretty simple. Mark undone. There you go. Everything working. So now we can mark them as done and not done. So next thing what I want to do is, instead of showing this done not done, I will just cross this out, strike this out. So for that I will use a CSS class. So you'll know how to toggle the CSS class according to some condition. So let's do that. So first of all, let's remove this span tag. There we go. So I will put some class conditionally over here in this list item. All right. So instead of list item, let's wrap this inside span. This name is inside span so that we can target, we can supply some CSS code there, CSS classes. All right. So to do that, here we can say class. We give class like let's say done class, and we have to define that class. We have to write the style for that class over here, done. So text. So I guess it's to strike this out, I think we have text decoration. So text decoration equals to line through. Yeah. So whenever we supply that class, as you can see, we have line through. Cool. We can even give this p tag. There we go. So now we have to toggle this done class according to the done status of the to do. So how do we do that? We have to supply semicolon inside class. So in Vue we can do like this. We can bind the class conditionally. So the way to do that is we have to use this braces, and then first item we have to supply there is the class name that we want to show. So the class name that we want to show is done. We want to toggle this class according to this condition, whether it is true or false. So if it is true, it will have the done class, or you can so if done is confusing you, you can do completed class and just give this completed. All right, same thing. So if we inspect this, we have the completed class applied. There we go, completed class has been applied. And if we make this false and refresh it, there we go, you can see there is no class there if completed is false. So this true and false will get from todo.done. So if this to do item is done, then it will be true, otherwise it will be false. So it will be applied accordingly. So now our this strike through feature is also working. If we do mark done, not done, there we go, we can toggle their classes, and we can conditionally apply any class like so. Always remember, first item is key is the class name and value is the true or false condition. You can supply any variable here which will return boolean, true or false. Okay, so with that we learn how to toggle the classes. So next let's remove the to do. So to remove, we have to add another button over here. So I have pasted this button. So I put the delete button, and whenever we click on that, we'll call this remove to do method, so which we'll create now over here. Let's copy this and duplicate it. Remove to do, whenever we do remove to do, we will just filter that item or remove that item from this array, to do's array. All right, so to filter out or to clean that item from this array, we'll use the filter method. So how do we do that? So this dot to do's. So if I make this empty, let's see, if I do del, everything will be deleted, but we want only one item to get deleted. So here what we'll do is we do this dot to do's, will filter through. So this autocomplete is just blocking my view. So to do dot filter, and here we'll pass item. So whenever we filter through each item, probably you know JavaScript filter method. So I'm assuming you already know this. So by the way, when we filter through each item we have access to that item, and we'll check if item dot id is not equals to do dot id. So we'll only construct an array or only update this to do's with the item that do not match with the item that we deleted. So what this will do is it will just only keep the item that is not deleted. All right, so that will accomplish our task. So by default we have two tasks. Let's delete this one, deleted, just delete that one that is deleted. So basically we are filtering this to do's array and updating the to do's array with item that doesn't contains the item that we deleted. Pretty simple. All right, so after that, last part is we need to update these. So we can add the update button, edit button, and then we can update it. So what I'm thinking of it is by doing double click, we need to edit it. So let me show you the demo. Or let's just first do simpler way, and then we'll make it more user friendly. All right, so first let's add a edit button. That will be easier to understand. Let's duplicate this and let's see, edit and edit to do. All right, so now we have edit button which will trigger edit to do, and let's create that method. So edit will do it in two steps. So whenever we hit edit button, it will turn this into the form, inline form, and we edit it and hit enter. Then we can update it like so. So one action will be to show the form, and another action is to actually update the item. So first thing, whenever we hit edit over here in VS Code, let's make this to do dot let's say edit mode equals to true. All right, so each item will have edit mode. There we go. Edit mode equals to false by default, and then later on we'll make this true to track which is being edited. So we forgot to update the add to do part. We'll do it later. First let's finish edit. So whenever we hit edit button, we'll make this edit mode equals to true. So whenever we do we make edit mode equals to true, we'll display the inline form that we can control over here. All right, so here we can change that. Let's duplicate this p tag. So by the way, I've used Ctrl+Shift+D to duplicate, or you can just copy and paste it. So what I will do here is, actually we just get rid of this. So we have this, we want to show the input field like so, input. There we go. This only we will show when if to do dot edit mode. So if this edit mode is true, then only we show that, otherwise we don't show that. There we go, edit mode equals to, and then when edit mode is on, we need to hide this. So this p tag will be displayed on v else, like so. All right, let's make it br tags just to make this a bit space between these two. So whenever we do edit mode, we'll display that. So as you can see, it is a bit hard to see them. Let's make a little bit gap between these two. Just wrap this inside div. There we go. Whenever we do edit, this will be on edit mode, and whenever we type something and enter, then it will be get out of the edit mode. So let's make that happen. So here in input, we have text, and then we have to bind this to v model, bind this to todo dot name. All right, so we'll be changing the name of todo, and otherwise it will display todo name. So now we can see the name which we are editing. So update it. Whenever we do update it and hit enter, then it should update that. So let's do that. So how do we listen for enter in this input form? So there is key up or key down. So key down dot enter. So whenever someone hits enter, then we'll trigger the method called update todo, and of course we have to pass the todo item that we are updating. So let's create that method over here. Update todo. So what this will do is this will just update it. So actually we are already updating using form. So only work of this is to make this todo dot edit mode equals to false. All right. So let's see this in action. We want to edit, so update it, enter, like so. Edit mode off, and then we can see the item. Also, whenever we are on edit mode, suppose we want to cancel edit, we need to toggle that using same button. All right, so that's pretty easy. You know how to toggle. So edit, in this edit todo, instead of just making it true like we done for toggle done, we can do like that also here also, todo dot edit mode. All right, so whenever we can toggle this, also we can display the text here instead of edit, just to according to the condition we'll display that. So todo dot edit mode, so if it's edit mode, then we'll display let's do cancel edit, otherwise we'll display edit. There we go, edit, cancel edit. Cool, right? So whenever we want to edit, we'll edit it, hit enter, then it will be edited. So our edit functionality is also in place. So one last thing to fix is we need to update this add functionality, because we are not adding it properly, because we have updated this data structure to object instead of single array item. So whenever we do add array, we just don't want to just push the title, but we want to push object. So that object will be id, this, okay. So here will be some id that will be keep incrementing. Let's put 1 for now, we'll increment it in a moment. And then name will be this dot new todo title, and then done is always false, and edit mode equals to also false. So by default these two will be false, and we need to increase this counter. So how do we automatically increase that counter? To automatically update this counter, we have to create a default counter here. Let's see, id counter. So by default, let's put this 0, and we'll increment this by 1. So this dot id counter plus 1, and then this value will be stored in id, and also we need to update this each time. From 0 it will be 1, and then in next item, for next item it should add from 1 plus 1 2, 2 plus 1 3, and then it will be updated accordingly. So after adding this dot id counter, we'll increment it, sorry, like so. So if we do not increment it, it will always be 1 1 1, 0 plus 1 0 plus 1. Okay, so now let's see this in action. Okay, buy tomato and hit add. Buy tomato, mark is done. There is mark undone. Looks like we have some issue here. So this is just opposite mark. If to do is done, we need to undone, right? Not opposite. Probably you have already seen this error. Sorry about that. So if it is true, then we have to undone it, just opposite. If it is edit mode true, cancel edit. Everything else will be fine. So let's mark this done, not done, done, not done. We can edit it, cancel edit. Go to gym, add, mark done, not done. We can edit gym and coffee. Enter. There we go. So whenever we hit enter, we can add as well. So to do that, instead of just hitting add every time, we can just hit enter and add that item to array. So that is pretty simple. We can do over here. So this same action, whenever we hit add button, we can just do here. Add the rate key down dot enter equals to call that method add to do. There we go. Refresh, blah blah, add, we can add. We can delete it, we can delete this, we can mark done, not done, delete this. Alright, so this is a basic to do application. So next thing what we need to do is we need to store these. So if we refresh it, it will only show these default items. Whatever we add won't persist. So we need to save it somewhere so that it will be persist every time. So we have to save it in some data source, which can be local storage or database. So we'll do that next.